It's a confusing parable that we're hearing today, and so much of it is connected to how people lived back then. Namely, if you were a property owner, you were set for life. And the reason you were set for life is because nobody could really farm that many acres. Instead, what you did was you told other people, you can farm my land, but I get a cut of your produce. This worked out great if you owned the land, because then what you could do was simply make sure and charge them a rate that they could never repay. It's quite literally true that in the European system, this is what guaranteed you serfs for generations to come. You make sure that someone works as hard as they can and that they keep their head just above water, because their entire workload is gone towards servicing their debt. When this steward was supposedly caught cheating, he did a brilliant thing. In this case, he freed two people from quite literally generational slavery. He moved them from a debt they could never repay to a debt that they could repay. And what he knew is, when I lose my income, they'll take me in. You and I would take in anybody who freed our next 10 generations from slavery. And in case the subtlety of it is eluding us, that's precisely what Jesus did. We had a debt we could never pay. So he paid it to himself so that we would be free forever. We made the debt, he did the debt relief. And it is such an extraordinary act of love that every day we should be saying to Jesus, move into my heart, I will take care of you. I will love you and honor you and treasure you. As a priest, it's not uncommon actually for, and I'm becoming, I guess, an old priest is what I'm told. I always tell fat doesn't equal old, but they never listen. But sometimes I'll get a question, well, you're not supposed to anoint that person, or this person, you don't know enough to give them the sacrament. Here's what I know. I'm like this steward, and I want Jesus to be as merciful to me as possible. And so I am generous with those things Jesus gave me to give away. Does this make sense? You look confused. Okay. I think that should be true of all of us. We should not be looking for reasons to tell people why they can't have this thing that's a part of faith. We should be fighting for their behalf to receive the grace of the sacraments and the joy of being loved by a God who has freed us. That's my challenge today. I ask us to remember the debt we owe and to say to Jesus, move on in. There's all kinds of room for you in there. And to make room for you, I will push out pride and gluttony and anger and all of those things. And let's remember to be as merciful to others as we wish God to be merciful to us. Because in Jesus' own words, the measure with which you measure others is how I will measure you. Let's be sure and be merciful. Amen? Okay.